So I wanted to mention something here that someone texted me last night about. It's a skill for the Lady A. Let me see if I can show this. Alexa, enable Braille dots.
Okay, here's Braille dots. Welcome to Braille dots. 1 to 4 players can play. How many are playing?
1.
Is this Rockin' Robin?
Yes.
Let's start. Answer quickly until you get 3 wrong. To undo an answer, say undo. The letter P is made up of which Braille dots? Is the answer 1. Dots 1, 4, 5, and 6. 2. Dots 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3. Dots 1, 3, 4, and 5. Or 4. Dots 1, 2, and 3.
2. So anyway, it's a Braille quiz for the Echo, and to get that going, you say enable Braille dots. Were you familiar with that, Kevin?
What was that again?
The Lady A, the Braille dots. Did you hear me?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I came across there recently. I haven't played around with it too much, but
Okay.
yeah, there is. I think
quizzes you on how to
quizzes.
Yeah, gives you quiz on reading Braille and identifying Braille symbols, letters, numbers, etc. Anyway, somebody texted that to me yesterday, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. I thought I'd show that real quick.
Maybe
All right.
Maybe that could be a separate discussion. Braille dot quizzes on Zoom. Zoom Braille dot quizzes.
Right on. Well, today we're going to be talking about the BARD mobile app. Many of you were here yesterday with the folks from the Talking Book program, and so we thought it might be a good idea to be able to go through and talk about different ways that you can access the Talking Book program. Now, the nice thing is they got a lot of options. When I was growing up, back in my day, should I do that in the Hank Hill voice?
Was it
back in my day?
That was back when they had Betamax, right?
Yeah, Betamax, VCRs,
don't get me started.
Tapes.
Yeah, so we can't forget about the 8-track player.
No, right. So back then, there were 3 ways to access the Talking Book program. They would send you out a tape player. That it was an adaptable tape player. Basically, the technology in it made it to where you could play a cassette tape on 4 different sides, and it just basically did that through kind of like almost like stereo. It'd do the left speaker for side 1 and 2, and then the right speaker for side 3 and 4, and they were able to put a lot of content on one cassette tape. So you get the cassette players. So you'd also get a record player. Gosh, now it's memory lane. So I remember you used to getting either things on tape or record.
Yeah.
And they were these big plastic containers, and as we learned yesterday, they really simplified the process. It used to be that you would, like a tape container, you would get this big plastic box and it had a card in there. And so when it was mailed to you, you'd have your address on there. When you sent it back, you had to pull that card out and then flip it over and turn it on the other side to go back to the program. So now I believe they have it. You just take the card off completely.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
So those were 2 ways. And then, of course, the third way to get content from the Talking Book program was the Braille book. Gosh, I remember, I used to really be into listening to the Hardy Boys. It was a mystery detective series. And I remember occasionally I'd get their books in Braille and then come in like these huge, like case looking, anyway, things. So you had Braille books, talking books through either tape or record. Well, about, I want to say around 2000, they came out with the BARD online service. And so I know a couple of folks that still use this now. It's the website. It is, let's see. So the website address is NLS, N is like Nancy, LS, BARD, so it's NLS BARD .loc.gov. So nlsbard.loc.gov. And that will get you to two places. That will get you to the login spot to log into BARD, the web version. So if you have an email address and you have a password with BARD, you can go to that website and log in there, on a computer, mainly on a computer. And you can log in and you can search for books. You can download books either in Braille or in audio. However, you do have to have either the talking book player or you have to have some method to play the content. Also from that website, they have the applications where you apply for the BARD service. So if you have an active talking book program membership, I want to say, so you go to this website, nlsbard.loc.gov, and you go to the application. It'll ask for simple information like your name, your address, email address, and the type of player you're going to be using. Once you submit that application, I think it takes a couple days. They've just verified that, yes, you're a member of the Talking Book program. They'll send you an email with your password, and it is a temporary password. So the first time you log into either the BARD website or the BARD app, it'll ask you to change that password. There's also a spot to change the password if you've forgotten what your BARD mobile password is. You can go to this website, nlsbard.loc.gov, and reset your password. It'll say you basically have to put in the email address that you have on file, and it'll I believe it'll send you a temporary password to use. So did somebody connect, or was there a question?
Well, there was a question from, I believe, Liz, and she was asking, could that be put on the screen? I don't know if that can be done.
Let's see. Let's try.
Okay.
Leaving menu.
Kevin, you might want to mute.
NLS talking.
Sorry, say again, Sean.
You might want to mute because we'll hear your jaws with this probably. Alt A.
Heading level 2 web results.
Okay.
Visited heading level. Slower.
Everybody see that? Rebecca?
Yes.
Okay.
Heading visited heading level 3 link NLS BARD.
So this is the website I've been talking about.
NLS.
And
NLS BARD logo graphic. National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled downloadable books and magazines.
And so there's different spots on this page.
There are no headings on this. Link BARD application instructions.
There's a link to the BARD application instructions.
Link instructions. Link frequently asked questions.
Frequently asked questions.
Link BARD mobile for iOS devices.
Here we go. So it does give you a link here to go to the BARD, the different apps for the different devices. So BARD Mobile, that's BARD Mobile, is accessible on an iPhone,
Link BARD Mobile for Android.
for an Android device,
Link BARD Mobile for Fire tablets.
and for the Fire tablets. So you got 3 different mobile devices there that you can use to access BARD.
Link reset your BARD password here.
There's the link to reset the password
Link BARD privacy policy.
and all the gobbledygook. So just to recap, if you have not signed up for BARD before, you want to do 2 things. You want to download the app for whichever device you're on, and I guess 3 things. So either you want to download the app first and call the Talking Book program, 800-252-9605, and ask them maybe if there's a way you can do it over the phone if you don't have access to a computer to log into the website, or you can go to this website. It's nlsbard.loc.gov, and that will take you right through everything you need.
Sean, I think also that there is an email address for people with the BARD
And for
Bring Up a
support.
program
Send mail,
that
Oh, you're so right. You know, it's right here, Kevin.
For
Let's
support.
see.
Send mail link NLS download at lock.gov.
Let's see. Let's hear that letter by letter.
LNLSDOWNLOAD at LOC.gov.
So NLS download at lock.gov. This is the main National Library Service, but they're kind of like the umbrella for all of the different state programs. So even if you email them, they'll get you to the right place.
Yeah, they probably will email you a temporary password, I would think, at a minimum, right?
Yeah, that's
Link BARD
there's
private.
a link up here
Link reset your BARD password.
to reset
okay.
your BARD password. So yeah, that's where you go for that. But
Cool.
however, there's multiple ways to get a hold of them, to get signed up, to get
Yeah.
you all going with what we're going to be going over today.
They're very responsive. So
Menu. Mute currently. Stop share button. Alert.
All right. Let's we don't have any other questions over that first part there. We'll get right into the app. Okay, so I have the BARD mobile app pulled up on my iPhone, and unfortunately I can't screen share and get voiceover at the same time. But let me just talk about kind of the screen layout, what it looks like, sounds like, etc. And then we'll kind of move on from here. So the top of the screen, it's just got a heading. It says bookshelf. And then at the bottom of the screen, like most apps on mobile devices, there are different tabs.
Speech on.
So we got
Selected. Bookshelf. Tab.
the bottom left corner is bookshelf, and if I go across,
Get books. Tab.
there's a tab for get books. That's where you can go to download the books.
Settings. Tab. 3 of 4.
We got a settings screen,
Now reading. Tab. 4 of 4.
and now reading. Let me.
Volume. Sounds. Volume. Speaking rate. 50.
Okay. Well, let me talk about let me talk about the first time you run BARD Mobile. If you're not signed in, it's going to ask you to sign in. You're going to have to put in your email address that you have with the program and that temporary password that they either sent you or whatever password you have set. And like I said, if you want to reset your password, you can probably call them or get on the website to do that. So you got to log in first, and then there's like a terms and conditions, all that kind of stuff. You want to check the I agree and submit, and boom, you're into this screen where I'm at right now. And
Settings. Tab. 3 of 4.
the settings screen might be somewhere you want to go first.
Settings. Heading.
So the settings screen,
Audio settings.
it's got a couple of buttons in it. It's got audio. I'll just read this in Braille out to you guys. It's got audio settings, and that's where you can change like the speed, the the tone, different things like that. These are your default settings, what you want things to be set as by default. The next settings screen is Braille and display. And there's a couple things in here. There's settings for using a Braille display with the BARD app. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Know that the print on the screen, if you're using BARD without speech, so without voiceover, is black. I believe it's black on white. You can change that in this Braille and display settings screen. I think you can reverse video it. Also know that if you have the dynamic type turned on under settings accessibility text, if you have everything enlarged, it's going to be enlarged in BARD. So it's going to be that nice big font, nice big print that you're able to read in other applications. The next screen down is user account, and besides having your logon information like your password and all that, there's a couple other settings in here that are important. The first one I'm looking at right now is called Download over Mobile Network, and you can have this button either turned on or off. If it's on, it just means if you're out and about and you download a book, it's going to use the data on your phone. And if you would rather restrict it to where it only downloads over Wi-Fi, you would turn that button off, and you would just have to wait till you got home to download that book. Let's see, we got an auto lock button, just meaning that if your phone locks in the middle of playing a book and this auto lock is turned off, it's going to stop the book, and you'll have to unlock your phone to start playing again. And there's a restore settings, and I think that's about it. Let me look and make sure. I think that's all we got for the settings screen. Any questions so far? Comments? Kevin?
No, you're doing great.
Okay. I learned, I've been using the BARD mobile app for quite a while now, but I learned quite a few things from reading the help screen, which I'll talk about how to get to here in a moment. One of the things I found is for those of you that are using BARD without voiceover, so if you're able to use it with the large print on the screen, you're able to see the different buttons and things. There's a verbosity setting in back there in the app in the audio settings, and you can have that either turned on or off. So something I learned today: turn off voiceover.
Okay, I turned off voiceover.
So if you're not using voiceover on your phone and you have that verbosity turned on, so you see the buttons on the screen, but if you touch them, oh.
Good.
Of course, now it's not going to work.
Will instead.
Turn on voiceover. Let me check that setting real quick. It basically acts the same way as it does on the talking book player that you have, so it reads the help
Settings. Tab.
options there. Let me
Set
look.
audio settings. Speed. Skip verbosity. Speed. Tone. Background. Auto lock. Skip verbosity. Switch button. On. Off. On.
Yeah, okay.
Bookshelf. Now reading.
We'll try that one more time.
The missing manual. Play. Button. Play. Button.
Turn off voiceover.
Voiceover off. I turned off voiceover.
Names only. Slow. Back.
Yep.
Back.
Here we go.
Back. 5, seconds.
Oh, wow. It's reading them out loud.
5 seconds. Don't you? The index Sleep. is searching in 50, file folders for 30 system files. minutes. If you turn this item on, 45 Windows will use its internal Dewey Decimal.
So you can turn these on to where even if you're using it with vision, it'll still speak those buttons.
Just like it does on the NSL player.
Turn on voiceover.
That's nice.
Okay. I turned on voiceover.
I think we both learned quite a bit yesterday from the presentation, and like I said, I just from a little bit of reading. So I never know what you'll learn.
That's the kind of the principle here is don't ever be afraid to get in there and tool around, right? And, you know,
Right.
so much of what I learn, I learn like Sean by getting in there and seeing what works, what doesn't work, and sometimes, you know, breaking it and then having to fix it. So, but that's okay.
So speaking of help, let's talk real briefly about the other tabs down here. So we have at the bottom left corner of the screen, you have a tab. It's called Bookshelf. And so I have that button selected now. And I'm going up here to the top of the screen. I'm going to go through the different buttons on the screen here. If y'all want to hear this, I can turn speech on, but I was thinking maybe describing it might be easier, just me describing the buttons and doing it that way. So we'll try this first. The first button on the top of the screen is audiobooks. And so under your bookshelf, audiobooks are where books you download go. So for my screen, it says audiobooks, 18 items. I have 18 different audiobooks downloaded currently. The next button down, I have audio magazines, 3 items. So I have 3 audio magazines downloaded. I have 2 Braille books downloaded. If you have a Braille display, you're able to read books in Braille or listen to them in audio. So you get the best of both worlds. Braille magazines, 2 items. I have 2 Braille magazines downloaded. And then I got help, 1 item. Oh, good old help. And it's extensive. I read through the entire help section this morning. It's in about 10 sections, and it's in different headings, so you can I'll go to the contents here just to give you an idea of different things that are here.
Speech on. BARD Mobile User Guide. Select to open. In progress. Text field. BARD Mobile Application User Guide. Heading Level 1. Form Control Tables. Lip Headings. Table of Contents. Heading Level 2. Section 1. Welcome. Heading Level 2. 1.1. Access to BARD. Heading Level 3.
Select the turn off original sound button.
1.2. Operating BARD Mobile. Heading 1.3. BARD Login. Heading Level 3.
So, you know, possibly we went to the BARD login section, we'd get help on how to get connected on the app. So, like I said, there's about 10 different sections here. It's really,
Speech off.
really in depth, and it answered all the questions I had. So that's under Bookshelf, and remember that's the bottom left corner tab on the screen.
Bookshelf.
Using VoiceOver, you would of course double tap on Bookshelf, and so each one of these tabs down here at the bottom, as you double tap on it, it's going to change to that particular section. So let's talk about the next section. Next to Bookshelf, you have Get Books. And I'm going to select that button there. And so the Get Books section has a couple of buttons that we'll go through these here. The first one is Wish List. Wish List is for 2 things. It's for adding books that you search for, and I'll talk about how you search for books here in a little bit. And the other thing is books that you're subscribed to, and that's another advanced feature I'll talk about in a little bit. Recently added. So recently added are all the audiobooks, audio magazines, Braille books, and Braille magazines that have been added as of, I want to say it's up to date as of yesterday. Um, and it shows you everything new they've added to the system. So we'll go look in there in just a moment. Let's go through the rest of these items here on the screen. Previous downloads. If I go to that section, I can look at all the books that I've ever downloaded on BARD for the 15 years, 10 years I've been on here. Wow. There's a lot of stuff in there. The next item down is most popular books. So if you go in there, you'll see it kind of uses statistics, what everybody downloads, and it gives you a list of what is the most popular books on BARD that people download.
It's like a New York Times bestseller list, right?
Right. Browse magazines. Let me look at that. That gets you to the section for just the magazines. Now, there's multiple ways you can get there. Just know that Browse magazine only takes you to either the audio magazines or the Braille magazines. And then the last item on the list here is BARD website. We'll get to that a little bit later. That's how you're able to search by name, by a particular either author name, book title, a little bit more advanced. That's probably my only gripe about the app, is that I wish they'd make it to where you could search the BARD system through the app and not having to go to like a mobile website. I totally forgot about that. I should have commented on that yesterday. So let's go here to recently added to BARD. I'm going to turn speech back on here.
Speech on. Get books. Back button.
So I've opened this recently added to BARD.
Added audiobooks.
And then I got audiobooks as my first choice. I'm going to go in here.
Empty list. American Sherlock. Murder. Forensics. And the Birth of American CSI. Dawson. Kate Winkler. Total time 10 hours 46 minutes.
That sounds interesting.
All right. So we have and these are like I said, these are the books. Oh, okay. So it's telling me it's today. These are books that are added as of today.
More info. American Sherlock. Murder.
So for each one of these books, you're going to have two buttons. You're going to have the book information where it has the name of the book, the author, how long it is. And then right after it, you're going to have a button that says more information. You can either flick left and right if you're using Voiceover to get to these, to go through this list.
American Sherlock.
If you're on a... Hang on.
Okay. Button. Cancel.
If you're on a particular item
American Sherlock
and you want to get to the actions menu, you can flick down.
More info.
So I said more info. If I double tap there, it'd take me to the more information screen.
Download.
There's a download button, so I could just go and download that book.
Add to wish list.
Add to wish list.
All books by Dawson. Kate Winkler.
Oh, so now we got an item here. It's all books by this author. If I double tap there, it's going to bring up a list of all the books by this particular author.
Wow.
All books in biography.
That's there's multiple ways to get to this screen. I'm going to show you the second way in just a moment. But I'm just flicking down on this item, and it's giving me all these. So this one said more titles and biography. So being that this book is the biography category, it's going to show you all kinds of books under that category.
All books in true crime.
Same as above.
Activate. Default.
And activate. So let's go in here. Let's go to activate.
Alert. Confirmation.
Oh, my bad. Let me do that again.
Okay, cancel. American Sherlock.
What I need to do is go to
More info.
more
American
info.
Sherlock. Murder.
I'm going to go to more info.
Title. American Sherlock. Murder.
And so this takes me to a screen with all kinds of information about this book. So the first item is the title.
Author. Dawson. Kate Winkler.
Get the author.
More actions. Button.
More actions. I'll come back to that in just a moment.
Annotation. Using years of research and thousands of never-before-published primary source materials, explored the life of Edward Oscar Heinrich, who had an uncanny knack for finding clues, establishing evidence, and deducing answers. In the 19...
So it gives a little synopsis of what the book's about there. If we go down...
Narrator, Kate Winkler Dawson.
Oh, so the author actually reads this book. That's actually rare. Quite rare.
Total time, 10 hours 46 minutes.
I wonder if he has an option to play a sample of the book in there, Sean.
That's a negative.
Add to wish list.
I wish, that'd be
Yeah.
nice, but
Download.
I know you can do that like on Audible and iBooks and stuff like that, but so the remaining things, you can get the book number,
Add to wish list.
you can add it to wish list,
Download.
you can download it, which there's multiple ways to download a book,
Bookshelf. Tab.
and that's the end of that. So let's go back up here.
Book. More author. More action.
There's this more actions button that I talked about earlier. So
Actions.
there's a couple ways
Speech off.
to get to more actions. If you're on a book title in the list, you can flick down and you'll get these same options here. The first one's download, add to wish list, all books, and Dawson Kate Winkler. So that would bring you to the list of all the books by this author. All books in biography, all books in true crime, and cancel. So if I download the book, I'm going to go down here
Speech on.
and hit this download button,
Downloading.
and it's pretty quick. In the most recent update to BARD Mobile, a couple things they've done. Right now you can have, I think it's 3 simultaneous downloads that go in at once. It used to be before that you'd have to download books one at a time, and now it lets you download them, 3 at a time. And so if you're going through this list through different options, different titles. So let's say I went and added 3 or 4 different titles, and they're all downloading. Well, when I get to that 4th book, it's going to add it to a queue. So just know that as you're, let's see here.
Downloading progress 65.
Okay, so it's at 65% already. So once it gets done with your first 3, it's going to jump to book 4, 5, 6, etc. And that's how you can download,
75.
have 18 some odd books downloaded like I do. We have any questions so far?
Downloaded. Speech off.
Any comments, questions?
Okay.
Speak more in the back roads to March. The unsung, unheralded, and unknown heroes.
So that's just all, if I keep going down this page, I'm just going to get more and more books.
The Two Lips of Lydia Bird. The Last Smile in Sunder City. Cry of the Kalahari. The Passengers. Sweetwater. Klein. Christie.
Quite a few books here.
Hundreds of thousands, probably.
Yep.
Recently added to BARD. Back button.
All right, so I'm going to go back here.
Audiobooks.
Hey guys,
Mm-hmm.
Speech off.
Wendy has her hand up.
Okay.
Hey
Yes, Wendy?
Kevin, how are you? I have the machine
Yeah,
because when I travel to my family's home, they don't have Wi-Fi,
right?
so I can't do the download the books and the machine both, right?
Right.
so I just have to keep the machine since I can use it mostly anywhere.
You can use both. You can use both. I mean, if you got the application on a phone or a tablet, you could, and you were at home and on Wi-Fi. Oh, so that's a really good point I should make.
Mhm.
When you download these books to your device, they are on your device. So once they're downloaded, you don't have to have Wi-Fi to listen to them.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So I can just.
like if I'm going on a trip or something, I know I'm going to be in the car for a long time. I'll download a bunch of books, and then I know I can just listen to them when I'm in the car, and I don't have to have the Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi is only for downloading the book, not listening to it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So then it won't interfere with my data or anything else, will it?
No, no. If you're on Wi-Fi,
Okay.
when you download the book, it's going to download on Wi-Fi.
Okay. And then when I'm in the car, I don't have to go like to my phone data.
Nope.
Just-
Nope.
Okay. All righty. So once I get this voiceover stuff down pat, I guess I'll stick
Yep.
to that.
yes.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I certainly enjoy the books when if I'm on a airplane, when I'm on a long flight. It's nice to put a book in like that and kind of relax and get in the zone.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you got a lot of memory on your phone, I mean, you can have quite a selection downloaded.
Which I have endless amounts of memory, Sean.
Oh, I know.
I'm getting by with like 1.5 gigs right now. So I think compared to your,
Yep.
280 gigs.
No, I got 64 on this one.
Oh, okay. 64.
I had
Okay.
I had the 256 gigs on my 8 Plus, but now I'm on 11.
Right.
And just another point to add to what Wendy was asking, you can in the settings, and it comes with this turned off, the download over cellular network. That's turned off by default. So if you're not at home and you try to download something, it's not going to let you until you get back home on Wi-Fi, and then it'll download that book. All right, so let's see here. So let me go to, let's go to back to the bookshelf and go in here. Okay, so I'm at my bookshelf
Speech on.
and I'm going to select bookshelf.
Air Fry Genius. Lawrence. Meredith.
Oh, I already heard one of my books. Air Fry Genius. You got an air fryer, Kevin?
I don't. I don't have an air fryer at this time. No.
Button.
So
All right.
I would not be an air fry genius. I'm working on that.
So here in this screen was the list of all the books I have downloaded. So you heard Air Fry Genius.
Alex Fletcher. American Sherlock. Crooked River. Preston. Douglas J. Child. Donut. Holt. Flying Blind. One Man's Journey Out of Dark. Frog and Toad Are Friends.
That's one of my kids' books there. That's great. That's the other great thing about BARD is you can download kid books for them to listen to.
Hell's Half Acre. Books 1-3. John Stone. William W. Moore. Hit List. Woods. Stewart.
So there's like I said, I got about 19 books downloaded. You have a couple different options in here.
Author. Button. 2 of 3. Hit List.
So let's go
American Sherlock. Murder.
back over here to American Sherlock. This is the book we downloaded just a moment ago. So if I flick down,
Delete.
I have a delete item,
More info.
more information,
Read.
read,
All books by Dawson. Kate Winkler. All books in biography. All books in true crime. Activate. Default.
activate.
Delete. More info.
So I'm going to go here to more info.
Title. American Sherlock. Murder. Forensic.
Because there's something in more info that's a little bit different from the download page where we were in recently added books.
Author. More actions. Button.
I'm gonna go over here to more actions.
More actions. Read. Button. All books by Dawson. Kate Winkler. Button. All books in biography. All books in true crime. Cancel. Cancel.
Oops.
Button. All books in
Where'd it
true
go?
crime. But all books in all book read. Button. More actions. Audiobook. Annotation. Narrative. Total time. 10 hours 46. Skippable. Book number. Read. Button. Selected. Bookshelf. Tab. Read books. Annotation.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to find it, but there is a way. There's a place here when you're reading a book to subscribe to books by this author. So there's a series you're reading, and the next time a new book comes out in that series, it'll automatically download. I guess I've got ahead of myself and can't remember where it is now, but I'll find it.
Sean, when you're in the bookshelf and there's a new book that's appeared that you downloaded, if you were just to double tap on that with using VoiceOver, by default it wouldn't activate the book and bring up the player screen.
Yes, it would exactly. In fact, I just did that.
Speech on.
So let's go look at the player screen now.
Recently read. Button.
And they've added a new button in the reader screen, which is quite helpful. It's called Recently Read, and it gives you a list of the most recent books you've been reading. Now, what's cool about BARD, this is also the same for the Talking Book Player. I believe Kevin can correct me on this.
Mm-hmm.
You can listen to multiple books, and it'll save your place in each one. So if I started listening to this book, and then I'll go and switch to a book I was reading this morning, I'm going to be right where I left off. And when I come back to this book, I'll be right where I left off. So I have 19 books downloaded, and there's 19 different saved places in all those books. So that's really cool.
Sean, if you're reading 20 books, do the books kind of mix together after a while?
I was waiting for that.
Just a story from one book, like, wait a minute.
The Midwest and the space aliens with the Mark. Yeah.
And then the forensic file book. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And like he creates his own new book.
The air fry killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Airplay button.
We got a button for AirPlay. So if you have an Apple speaker, Apple TV, if you have some kind of device that accepts AirPlay, you can send the audio. You don't have to listen to it on your iPhone or your iPad. You can send the audio to a speaker or another device and listen to it that way. So these are new features here in BARD. Just came out here in the last month or so.
American Sherlock. Murder. Forensics.
Here's the title of the book.
Navigation button.
Navigation will get us to like the contents. So you're able to go through the contents of a book and go directly to a chapter if you would like.
Beginning of book. Current time 0 seconds. Total current position 0. Adjustable.
Let's see. Let me go back there.
Current time 0 seconds. Total time 10 hours 46 minutes 11 seconds.
All right. So
Sleep timer button.
we have a button on the screen that says Sleep Timer. So if you're familiar with the Talking Book Player, you'll know all about Sleep Timer. Sleep Timer is so you can start listening to your book. You can do it in increments of 15 minutes. So it goes 15, 30, 45, 60. And then I believe it's like chapter and then off. So what that does is you can listen to your book for 15 minutes, say while you're trying to go to sleep, and which they say is horrible. I've read that's a horrible way to get to sleep, but
Yeah, we still do it.
we all do it. And then at 15 minutes, the book turns off. If you're still awake, and turn it back on for another 15 minutes, like I do, and stay up all night. So yeah, it's Sleep Timer.
Bookmark button.
You can add a bookmark so you can save your spot to come back to at a later point.
Previous button.
So we got 3 options here. We got previous,
Jump by chapter.
jump by chapter,
Next button.
and next. So this is how, you can fast forward and rewind within the book, but you can also jump between sections. So if
Jump
I'm
by
on
chapter. Next button.
next here,
American Sherlock, Murder, Forensics, and the Birth of American CSI. Library of Congress annotation.
Prologue. Tales from the Archive. Pistol. Chapter 1. A Bloody Mess. The Case of Aileen Lamson's Bath. Part 1.
so it's just jumping to the sections. It's not. I haven't started playing the book yet. If I jump over here, if I go to the next button, which is
Rewind button.
rewind.
Play button. Fast forward button.
So these 3 options here are pretty self-explanatory. You can play a book.
Play button.
He dipped into this bottle or that, drawing out a few drops of each with his glass pipette.
Stop.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, once you begin playing the book, if you have voiceover on, if you take 2 fingers and double tap, it will pause the playback, right, Sean?
Yes,
Or
very
Zoom
good
it?
point. And you can even do that from within the BARD app. So if you pull up the app and do a 2-finger double tap, like you would use to answer an incoming call, you could do that. It'll start playing the book. And then if you're, I'm out here somewhere else on my phone,
Calendar. Photos.
I could do the 2-finger double tap.
And brought a test tube containing a solution over to the table.
And that starts and stops playing from anywhere on your phone. Super handy.
App switcher.
I use that all
Bard
the
Mobile.
time.
Active. Bard Mobile. Play.
Okay, so a couple things to know about the play, fast forward and rewinds here, is that if you're on
Button.
play,
Fast forward button.
now I'm on fast forward. Okay, so if I double tap,
Forward 5 seconds.
oh, it moves forward 5 seconds. If you touch, if you're not using voiceover and you just touch on these items, it'll jump ahead by 5 seconds. If you touch and hold, meaning if you touch and leave your finger on the screen on the fast forward button, it's going to do this.
Forward 20 seconds. 1 minute. 5 minutes. 15 minutes. 30 minutes.
So it's going to let you fast forward. So using voiceover, you would double tap and hold with 1 finger on that fast forward button or rewind. And not using voiceover, you just touch and hold. Just touch and leave your finger on the screen. Oh.
Speed.
Button. Next item on the screen here, we got speed.
Speed. Normal. Adjustable.
And this is just like the player, where you can increase the...
125. 100. 200.
You can get to fast reading like this.
Men who could expose weaknesses in the evidence gathered by the state's investigators. Those experts would say.
That really is speed reading, isn't it, Sean?
Let's see how fast we can get it.
300. Maximum.
Now that's great if you like your book read by an auctioneer.
Yep. Or we can get really
His model, his assistant's wife.
I think that narrator needs some coffee or some
talk about some enunciation there.
some espresso for that person.
Bookshelf. Tab.
And we're back to bookshelf. So we're back in the bottom left corner now. We've gone through all the choices, all the options on the player screen. Any questions here? I think everybody's asleep.
Do I need to turn the music back on?
No, we have a hand raised. Go ahead, Bertha.
Hi, Bertha. Hey, Bertha.
Hi guys, I have a couple of questions. So if you download a BRF book, a Braille book from BARD, you can hook up a Focus 40 or a Braille to your phone and actually read it off Braille display using.
Gosh, you took my next spot there.
Oh, you may have just made my life easier with a couple of students next year.
I'm about to go through that.
Okay,
We call that a segue, right, Sean?
Yeah, that's a great segue, but go ahead and ask your other questions.
So, but you'd be able to use the navigation buttons on the Braille display, or do you still need to use do you still navigate on the phone?
Oh, no. In fact, you have special navigation keys you can use on the Braille display.
Okay.
You know, kind of like quick navigation in JAWS, like on a website. You got options like that for reading Braille books.
Okay. So then my other question is, how much can you navigate through the program using Voiceover? I think you're tapping, right now? Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm actually using my Braille display to control the book. That's how or the BARD app. That's how I can turn speech off and know where I'm at and all that. That's just for presentation. But you can use Braille. You can use Voiceover. You can either make it as easy or as hard as you want.
Okay. So then my other question is a while ago, I don't know how many years ago, they required you to authenticate, whatever the word was, whatever device you were using. So I had to authorize my note taker and then my stream. Do you know if they're still doing that?
You can still do that if you're using another device. You can use a note taker stream. I mean, and that's a great point. If you go to nlsbard.loc.gov and go through the sign up process, there's a list box in there that asks you what player you're going to use.
Okay.
And it's got a list of all the streams. If you are using one of those devices, it's kind of a process. They send it over to Humanware. If it's a stream, they send you the key file. You're able to. Now, what's really nice is you can have multiple. I mean, you can have. In fact, I have a stream authorized. I have a Braille Note Touch authorized, and then I have 2 iPhones and an iPad. I believe you can have like 5 different devices authorized at once.
Okay, I do that as well. But do you have to have the phone authorized?
Yes, well, not authorized per se. That's just controlled through your login.
Okay.
Right. And if you ever get too many items, like you try to authorize something and it won't let you, you just have to call them and I found out you can call them and they'll either deauthorize one item or you can just have it, deauthorize everything. And back when I was primarily using just iPhones, when I had like 4 or 5 iPhones on there, I just had them reset it. Okay. Or you can turn one item off or whatever.
All right. And I think it was Wendy yesterday that asked about a Bible. BARD does have 2-3 different versions of Bibles, and that the comment that you made that wherever you stop and you stop reading and come back to it the next day, you're in the exact same spot. That helps a lot with the Bibles because, as everybody knows, they're huge. So I just wanted to let Wendy know that because they do have several versions in there for download. Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Bertha. Now, Sean, I have a question. She had mentioned authorized devices. Can you explain just briefly what that means?
Yeah.
Left tab, enter full screen, left tab, show my tab.
Yeah, so if there's all kinds of different players that you can use to play books on the BARD system. So the iPhone, iPad, the Android tablets, Fire tablet, those are, more or less mobile devices. There are other assistive technology devices like Humanware makes a device called the Victor Reader Stream. There's quite a few different ones out there. To play a book on those devices, not the iPhone, you actually have to get it's called a key file. It's a file, they email it to you that you have to copy over to your stream player or one of your assistive technology devices. And that's just so, I mean, it'd be real easy just, if there was no licensing, no authorizations in here, it'd be really easy to download these books and it'd appear on the internet somewhere. So they're, they got to take care of copyright and
right.
Make sure people aren't sharing books.
Makes sense.
Hey guys,
Yes.
Wendy has her hand up. Go ahead, Wendy.
Hello. Who was the smart lady? Had my hand up to ask, does the board have Bibles? And she answered my question.
They do.
Wow.
They have a lot of Bibles, so you could have several downloaded to a phone.
So I was going, that's what I was going to ask, and then she answered it right on for me, and I just like to think that she's so smart.
They also have a lot of, I think yesterday Jacqueline mentioned this, a lot of Christian fiction on there.
Okay.
For example, there's a series called AD Chronicles that is particularly good, very well narrated, and you can get that whole series right off the BARD website through the app. There's really
and I like a lot of westerns too. So.
Oh, they have that.
Oh, they got tons of westerns. In fact, I got a book downloaded right now. It's all about Fort Worth, back in the 1800s. It's what they call historical fiction. So there's a kind of a fake story involved, but there's history involved in the telling of the narration.
Well, for Sean, it's not fiction because he was there. So.
Let me mention this as well. I'm trying to find the email as we go here. On the Lady A, the Alexa or Echo devices, there is...
Yes, Amazon Echoes are devices.
Yep, I know you're there. So there's an app for the iPhones, which is a type of Bible app that it doesn't work that well on the iPhone, but I did get an email this morning, and it's called YouVersion Prayer, and you can use that on your Lady A device. You just say enable YouVersion Prayer. So that's something you can check out as well if you have a Echo. We got any more questions? Everybody still here? Hello?
Alice has a question. Go ahead, Alice.
You are unmuted by host.
Hi,
Audio
Alice.
unmuted.
I just learned about BARD, and they gave me a disc that I connect to my computer, and then it goes to my machine. I was wondering how I connect to the iPad. I just had to download the app.
Yes. So it's just an app in the App Store. It's called BARD, B-A-R-D.
And I don't have to connect the machine to anything?
No. But you do have to have an email address signed up with BARD, and they have to send you a password. So you might call them and see if you can do that process over the phone. Get that going.
Because I do everything on the machine now, and I just take the machine with me. So I wouldn't need that disc then.
Right.
I did it on the.
Yeah.
I'm old, so I didn't understand. Okay, that makes sense.
Thanks, Alice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, that's something good we learned yesterday, Kevin, was that they have the advanced player and the beginner. I guess the beginner player.
Advanced player.
I think I'm gonna order one of those.
I'm very curious. I've not seen one of those before.
I'm kind of curious how that works.
I want to know what that's like. Yeah,
but what I need is more technology over here.
Well, with your air fryer, I mean, you have so many gadgets, and cooking and reading and otherwise.
Let's go.
You start calling Sean Inspector Gadget.
Let me see here. Okay, let me answer. Let me go talk about reading books in Braille here. I don't really read a lot of Braille books per se. I did download a couple this morning. And I do think there's some neat things here.
Speech on The Lion King. Rudnick, Elizabeth Nathanson, Jeff. 2 volumes.
There we
Actions
go.
Available.
I'm gonna open this book, and you get to these. You would go to bookshelf, and then Braille books, and the screens are identical whether you're listening to an audiobook or reading a Braille book. Now you have to have a Braille display in order to read the Braille.
Navigate. Braille output. 6 dot. Braille output. 8 dot. Page 2. Page 3. Input search keyword. Braille dots. Special symbols.
So, couple things here. I'm gonna turn my speech off. So this screen gets you to where it has like the primary parts of the screen are the reading part. And then at the bottom you have a scroll. It's an auto scroll. So what that does, and you can control this either from the keyboard, the Braille keyboard, or you can control this from settings. But basically you set up a interval of I want to say it's milliseconds. So the auto scroll does exactly what it says. It auto scrolls by line the book you're reading. So like I said, yeah, kind of have to play with the settings, but let me start it here and I'll try to keep up. Okay, special symbols used in this volume. Trying to transcribe. Oop, yeah, it's going pretty quick. So I'd probably need to slow that down a little bit. Go ahead, Jeff.
And the advantage of that would be that normally if you're using a Braille display, you would have to manually click one of the scroll buttons to go to the next line.
Right.
But this would do it for you automatically without having to do that, right?
Right. And so, like normally, let me see if I can stop this. Okay. So yeah, normally if you're reading a Braille book this way, and this is the same for every Braille display, Bertha, but you would do a 5, possibly a 5 chord to pan to the right each time, and that's a lot of keystrokes when you're reading we got a 40 cell display here. You can also, there are commands like a minus in the space bar slows down that auto scroll, and a plus with the space bar speeds it up. There are other navigation keys in there, like you can do it in for next. I believe that's next section, next page. So there's a lot of control in there on how you move around the screen with the Braille display. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the Braille displays because I know it's probably like 1 or 2 people here. But I would say go to the BARD app and go to the help section and read through the, there's a whole section dedicated to using the Braille display with BARD.
So you have a lot of options, to say the least, right?
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Some things in there I think I'm going to get in there and tool around with. Maybe try one of those Braille books and on my display.
Yep, pretty neat.
Any questions, comments? Oh, well, I love BARD too. By the way, I don't know if you mentioned this earlier.
Who loves BARD?
Maybe Mindy.
Ah,
I think you know that. I think you know her.
I didn't hear them.
No, you have a lot of moving
Okay.
parts over there on Sean's end. No, but for those of you who are wondering, like, what does BARD stand for? BARD. I believe it's Blind Audio Reading Download. Is that?
Oh, well, that's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you might be thinking BARD, like Bart? No, BARD. Who's
Well,
this guy?
it's the government. They gotta have acronyms.
Right there. Yeah, there's not enough alphabets in our field as it is, right?
Right. I don't know if you've ever called Social Security, but man, they have like an acronym for everything. Oh, you mean the RSTCV or the RSI? You know, I thought I was talking to a guy in like acronese or something. It was crazy.
Yes,
But,
there's many of those out there. Certainly, you need like a flow chart to keep up with all of them.
Let me talk real quick about the BARD website that you get to from the app. So if you go to the Get Books tab, it's the second tab over from the bottom left. You go to Get Books, and then the bottom item on that screen is BARD website. You're thinking, well, why do I need to go to their website? Well, unfortunately, if you want to be able to search for a book by name, so type in the name of book. If you want to search by author, you got to go to this section. So let me do this. Let me turn my speech on. And I'm going to go down to
email address, text field.
Oh man. Hang on. Let me do this.
Email address, text field is editing. Karen.
Some reason it wants me to log in. I had this problem earlier. Let's
S-A shop double B-N pure cut Sean delete comma.
go ahead and let me mute myself real quick and I'll be right back, Kevin, if you want to talk about something else real quick. Kevin?
Yes, I'm sorry. I am here. I wanted to make a quick comment. So it turns out that it's not blind audio reading download, it's Braille audio reading download.
And STAP, Kevin,
Uh-huh.
is specialized, not sensory, specialized.
Specialized telecommunications.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. Is my head over the past several years is filled up with all these all these abbreviations, and they're all running together. It's like Sean and his books. You know, they're all coming together. Anyway, sorry about that. All right.
Hang on just a second. I'm having to log in through the mobile, the website side on the app for some reason. So one more second.
No problem. You know, one idea we had kicked around was having a book club at one point, and maybe we can kind of tap the pulse here and see if that might be something in the future we could have with some of you guys, since we've been talking about books a lot here lately.
Yeah, that's that'd be a good thing to do once a month.
Mhm.
I had another idea on that, but so I'm logged in here. Let me go through this, and then we'll take questions and talk about a book idea here.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you from what you're doing.
No, but that just came out of the blue having to do that part there. So, okay.
Search the collection. Text field.
So normally, if you hit the button that said BARD website, it would just take you right here. I'm not sure why I had to go through all that jumping through hoops there, but I have a search field here, and I can type in a name. Let's do, let's type in Braille. And then I'm going to hit search.
Go button. 120 get books. Back button.
And it's doing the search. And then I'm going to show you.
Start over. Audiobooks. Heading level 1.
So now we're in the section. It's got the search results.
Forward 55, 60.
Oops.
50. Words. Speak. Edit. Braille screen headings.
And I'm going to go through the different headings here to show you the results. Let's see here.
0 in the bookshelf tab.
Oops.
1 of 4 in the title. 17 audiobooks. Heading level 2. Bookshelf tab. 0 in the links.
Hold on.
Headings.
There we
in
go.
the title. 17 audiobooks. Heading level 2.
So it came up with 17 results, and as I flick down here, it's going to give me it's going to give me the heading with the book title.
A picture book of Lewis Braille DB 53405. Head Adler, David A. Reading time, 15 minutes. Read by Eric Sandvold. Of disability. Presents the life of the 19th century Frenchman who was accidentally blinded as a child. Lewis. Braille originated the raised dot system of reading and writing used throughout the world by visually impaired individuals. For grades K3, 1997.
So
Add to my wish list, a picture book of Lewis.
So there is the add to wish list. I talked briefly about the wish list earlier. It has 2 places for you. It's where you can add books to that you search for on the website. Unfortunately, this is the only way you can search for a book in the BARD app. So I got add to wish list. If I double tap it, it's going to
book selected. Add a picture book. Presents the
Make
Braille.
sure it did it.
Add to my wish list. A picture book. Add to my wish list. A picture book of Lewis.
There we go.
Speech off.
So it's now in my wish list. I'm going to go to where that is. And that is under Get Books. And then wish list.
Speech on. A picture book. Wish list. 5 items. More info. A picture book of Lewis Braille. Adler. David A. Audio. Total time 15 minutes.
So
Actions available.
It took that book from the book search and I added it to my wish list. Now it's here. I can just double tap on it.
Alert. Confirmation. Would you like to download this title? Cancel. Okay.
And
Button.
I will download it.
Downloading. A picture book of Lewis Braille. Adler.
And there we go. It's all downloaded.
That was a fast download.
Well, it's 15 minutes long, so it's not
not 15 hours, right?
Yeah, not 15 hours. So unfortunately, like I said, that part of the app is kind of that's more advanced. If you just want to be able to get on and look at the most recent books and kind of explore that way, you can do that. If you want to learn how to search and you need some help with that, give me a call, send me an email. We'll set up a time to go through that.
Yes. And one thing maybe just to re-emphasize here is some of the things that we're doing here, we are kind of getting into depth about, but if you need additional help, if you need one-on-one training, even over the phone, then we certainly are open and available to do that. These tutorials are almost kind of like a hook, if you will, and so if you need more and you're finding that you're having some struggles, Sean especially, are very capable of helping even over the phone.
Yep.
Hey guys.
Mm-hmm.
Alice has her hand up.
Okay.
You are unmuted by host. Audio now unmuted.
Hey, Alice.
When you move it to the iPad, can you still use the catalog numbers to get your books?
Yes, you can. You can search by the catalog numbers. Those are, yeah, they send those. I think they send those catalogs out. So if you know the number,
Yeah, but
to
you can also find them on BARD and look through the catalogs on BARD. But
yes.
I have a book full of about 4 years of numbers, so I'm hoping to read all those books first.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's why I'm asking if you can still use the catalog numbers. Okay.
And that's a good
Mm-hmm.
question there. And speaking of catalogs and such, let's let me go over here to the Braille the audio magazines, because they got quite a selection of magazines.
And the catalog numbers are in there somewhere. Bob helped me find where the catalog is, and you can go through it and read what books they have on for the month.
Mm.
So, and of course, that's broken down to different categories, and that's what I've always used. There's some categories I don't even look in.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. But there's some that I'm really interested in, and so you can go in their catalog and do it. You can still have it sent to you, I think, but I stopped that because I can't read it.
Right.
But it'll read to you if you go in to BARD and find the catalog.
Thanks, Alice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.